Hey everyone, Jeremy here. It's a brand new year, and hopefully I can remember how to do this live streaming thing because I've been taking the last 2 weeks off for the holidays, and I haven't done this in a while. So hopefully you guys can see me and that everything's set up right. I see there's a couple of people in the chat already. Hey kid, hope your holiday went well. Hope everybody had a great time. But it is a new year, so we're going to create some new art. I don't know if, like some of you guys probably remember, this whole project started off as a New Year's resolution last year, and I think it went really well, and I'm excited about the new year coming up. Hopefully, my art continues to improve or doesn't suck as bad as it has in some cases. I am planning on doing like a retrospective video, but I've been kind of busy lately, so I don't know when I'm going to get that out, probably February. But I am going to go over some of maybe my best art, or what I think is my best art, and some of like what I think is like my worst art over the last year. Hopefully you guys can help me out with that. Maybe like leave a comment below, like what pieces you think worked really well, like what are some of your favorites. I know some of you guys I've done pet portraits for, you're probably going to be a little biased, and that's okay. Just drop a comment down, let me know. Not only which ones are your favorite, but also which ones you think completely suck. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I probably completely agree with you. But anyway, I wanted to wish you guys a happy new year and welcome you guys to the show. Because Ken has a great question. What's my New Year's resolution this year? I don't know. Like last year, I kind of like had a grand one. I haven't really put a lot of thought into it, but I am. And when I do that retrospective video, hopefully I can come up with something by then. So I will let you guys know what I come up with, what crazy plan I come up with this year. It'll probably be art related because I'm having a lot of fun with this. Hey, Mama Q. Hey, Hater. Let's see, because of Ken's in here. Rome Dog. How's it going, man? So what are we working on tonight? Great question. So I've gotten in the habit of trying to put in the title before I started live stream. So we're going to paint a coffee horse. I did one of these a while back, and a friend of mine liked it so much they wanted one for their new office. So I'm going to give that a shot, see how it goes. These things are always kind of experimental. Let me go ahead and switch to the top-down view. I kind of sketched out where I think the horse might be in here, but I'm not like a master at doing these coffee portraits or coffee paintings. So it's kind of like experimental every time I do it. But just to kind of give you an idea of what's involved, you basically have this instant coffee and you add water to it and kind of treat it like watercolor. So that's the strategy here. And I'm just gonna throw some coffee on the paper. This is watercolor paper. Again, it's just like watercolor, which I'm not very good at to begin with. So it's a combination of experiments here. But I did mix up a batch of like really, really dark coffee here. Like this is the type of coffee that if you drank it, you would be like, oh, that's horrible. I hate it. Hey, Ruby, I haven't seen you in here before. I think I'm going to start. So I really want this kind of dark area, just to let you know. So this is like the horse's head. This is going to be the eye. There's going to be some ears up here. And then this is the chest area. And I think this is going to be the darkest. So what I want to do is I want to try just dropping this like really dark coffee here. It's not super dark, and at this point, I'm not really concerned about making it look nice. I just kind of want to make a splatter mess, which I think is a cool effect. And if you get like a little splotch like that, that just adds to it, in my opinion. I think what's cool about this I guess you could just say this is true of all watercolor. If you want to have some fun with it, there's like a lot of room to have fun. So as you notice, I'm making these kind of pools of water, and there's a reason why. I'll show you here in a minute. But I'm going to try to let gravity do its work. So I've got this on a different board here. I'm going to kind of lift it up and see if I can get that to just kind of drip. Yeah. Now, all that coffee is going in my lap here, but that's fine. See if I can get a little bit more of that to drip. A little bit higher. Yeah. All right, there it goes. Yeah. So I got like this cool little drip effect, which is kind of neat. In fact, I want more drip, so I'm going to add some more and see if I can get some. I'm making a mess here, by the way. I've got like coffee all in my lap here, but that's fine. Like with my messy pictures that I do, like it really doesn't matter at this point what's going on the page because I'll cover it up. I'll make it work. I just want to create some cool effects here. So that water just seems to be going down these like little streams here. Let's see if I can redirect that. Again, this is all experimentation. I'm not I'm not used to using these. So let me see if I can get like another little stream going here. Bear with me, guys. Yeah, a couple little more channels there. Add some more coffee. Let's see. Yeah, see that going down the new channel? I think that's cool. All right, so now that I have a lap of coffee, we're good to go. Sorry if I'm losing my voice. I haven't done one of these live streams in like 2 weeks. So, I'm not used to talking so much. Plus, I was out partying for New Year's and stuff. I still haven't recovered from that. So the next part of it, again, it's best to use instant coffee. You can use I drink a lot of espresso. If you can't tell, I'm always energetic. But I drink a lot of espresso. You don't really want to use that for these coffee pictures. You just want to use this instant stuff. And the way you do this is you just kind of add some water, and then you add a little bit of coffee to it, let it do its work. And then this is almost just like watercolor. So like if I came in here and I wanted to kind of put like a base coat to this horse's face, that's all there really is to it. And then you just treat it like watercolor. You just kind of like let it dry. And now this painting is regular, and there's a reason why. I don't know the point of decaffeinated coffee. Like if you drink decaffeinated coffee, I'm not going to judge you too much, but I don't see the point in it. Like, I guess if you just really like the taste of coffee, but you don't like the caffeine, have at it. But that's just nuts to me. I don't know why people do that. So anyway, at this point, I'm just kind of, getting myself a good base to start with, as far as like, where the horse is and things like that. So I'm just going to do that while chatting with you guys. So tell me how your holiday went. I'm really super interested in how everybody got along this Christmas, if that's your thing, or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, whatever you're into. I had a lot of fun. I went and saw some. My tradition is always on like Christmas Eve. I go look at Christmas lights, and this year I went to this place that had like all these Christmas lights. Like if you live in the Lexington area, there's a place called the Kentucky Horse Park, and they have like all these light displays, and then they have all these animals that you can go and hang out with, like a little petting zoo after you go and look at the lights. It's awesome. Yeah, Rivi, you know what's up. What is the point of decaf coffee? Like, I don't get it. But if that's your thing, that's your thing. Everybody's got a thing. We're not here to judge on this channel. We're not. Like, everybody has something, some little quirk. If yours is decaf coffee, I mean, really, the only person suffering is you. So, like, who am I to judge? Doesn't hurt me though. And then, yeah, I don't know. So, like, I like the idea of a coffee painting. I don't do a lot of them. Like, this is actually my third one, like ever. So I'm really super curious how this is going to turn out. But it is basically like watercolor, so I'm not too worried. Um, but yeah, so I like the idea of a coffee painting hanging up in an office, places where you normally drink coffee, like maybe a coffee shop or something like that. It's kind of a cool thing. It's again, it's basically watercolor, but you know, the other thing that you have to keep in mind when you do coffee painting is it is monochromatic, and maybe that might affect your thinking. Like maybe you might want to do like a full-on watercolor picture just so that you can get more colors into it. But they're not mutually exclusive. So like it's technically like mixed media if you went this route, but you can mix the two. So like you could mix coffee with watercolor if you wanted to, or I talk about gouache on this channel a lot just because the difference between watercolor and gouache, like one being transparent, one being opaque. There's really no reason why you can't go over this with some gouache later if you wanted to like add some color or whatnot. But I think a true coffee painting should be monochromatic. There's nothing wrong with monochromatic pictures. I do a lot of them and they're kind of fun. Plus, I'm still getting used to color, so it's a good excuse to not worry about colors, just have some fun with like different tonal values and stuff. So like a lot of these swatches, like if you don't want them there, you can kind of just mix them into the picture. But I do come back and I add like swatches later just because it's a cool effect. Got a little bit of cat hair in there. We don't want that in our coffee. So at this point, I'm just kind of smearing the coffee around, trying to get an idea of where all the different body parts are. So obviously, this is the body. A lot of the legs is kind of like disappearing into these kind of splotches and stuff. But I'll develop that a little bit more to get more of more information so that you know that they're horse legs and such. Yeah, instant coffee is not a complete atrocity. You're not wasting the caffeine if you use instant coffee, so that's a good point. Or like, well, you're not wasting the coffee if you're using decaffeinated. You guys get what I'm saying. I have been drinking, by the way. I have my bourbon here, so like I'm not drinking coffee tonight. Put my little dude back up here. He's done his work. He's supervised. Let's see. Thou shalt not waste caffeine. But if it's decaffeinated, that might be a good reason to use decaffeinated instant coffee because, like, is it really a waste? What are you wasting? Water? Because, like, there's no caffeine in it anyway. So one of the other things to note about this coffee is that you kind of have to let it dry so that you can kind of come over it. Everything's going to be like super light, and you have to build up layers of darkness by using less water. So that might be a concern. Like you may have to spend more time on it. I don't know how long this is going to take tonight, but I'm just going to keep painting until I get bored and then finish up later if it takes too long. But it's basically coffee stains with style. That's the way I look at it. Hey, Ida. Sorry, I have learned that I've been mispronouncing your name all this time. It's not Ada, it's Ida, and I have trouble with that because I have a friend named Aileen, and sometimes I call her Eileen, and I mix the two up. So I do apologize for that, but I'm gonna make an effort this year to get it right. So Happy New Year's, Ida. Oh, so as you can see, by adding less water and more coffee, you kind of get darker colors. Now you're never going to get like super black, but you do get darker colors, and as you pile them up, they do come out darker. So as you can see, I want this eye to be black, essentially. It's not going to be super black, but I might be able to, by building up layers, get it to be super brown if I can. So, I mean, you're basically painting with like stained water here. So you have to kind of roll with that. But it's not that different than watercolor, like depending on how much water you use in your watercolor, you kind of suffer the same problems. And again, I'm not an expert at using watercolor anyway, so this is a bit of a challenge. But, when a friend asks you if you can do a coffee horse painting, you say yes. So I did have that kind of like base sketch. I'm kind of going over it now with some darker areas just so I can not worry about the pencil in case I kind of gets lost in it. This kind of gives me an idea of like where all the basic facial features are. So like this area is going to be a little bit darker down here. And at this point, I'm kind of keeping a pretty dry brush for these like darker areas, in case you're wondering. It is similar to watercolors, yeah. Except you're using like powder instead. I think there is some watercolor. I don't really know. I think there's some watercolor that kind of comes just as pigments, and you can mix them yourself. So in that sense, it's just like watercolor. But most people don't buy watercolor that way. They buy it as like a cake or as like liquid or something like that. But really, all watercolor is I don't know what the binding agent is in it. Obviously, it's water soluble, but it is just pigment. It's some sort of powder mixed with some sort of binder. This isn't a chemistry show, so I don't really know. Yeah, I love that effect. I love the splash. Now I've got coffee all in my lap. There's coffee all over this board, but I'm not a clean person anyway. I'm kind of messy, and there's bound to be like coffee all over my desk anyway. So this isn't nothing new. A little damp rag cleans it right up. The other thing I should mention about this, like if you're totally new to this and like you don't you've never done a coffee painting. If you've never done a coffee painting, I definitely recommend it. You should give it a shot, just at least once, just as like an experiment. Um, In fact, this is probably my first attempts at painting. Like I think my first painting I've not my first painting, but my first painting when I really got into trying to do art. I did a coffee painting just for fun. It's a great way to experiment if you're kind of like a little weirded out by watercolor, like, or and maybe you just don't want to spend a lot of money on watercolor, and like they're not terribly expensive, but I mean coffee is like super cheap. You just buy a thing of instant coffee and give it a shot. Almost zero initial investment. And if you're worried about it, like if you can't afford to buy coffee, then you probably find coffee somewhere in some office or something like that, and it'll be good. So almost zero investment. One of the pluses. Let's see. Oh, the one thing I wanted to say about this is I do have like coffee on my hands now. Unlike watercolor, it's super sticky. So like I got it's just really sticky. It's gross. I hate that part of it, but beyond that, it's a lot of fun. So you see this really dark area here. I'm going to kind of grab some of that. And oh, the coffee does dry, obviously, but you can just reactivate it by adding some more water. So underneath the chin here is going to be kind of super dark. So it's just adding a bunch of layers until you get the kind of tonal value that you're looking for. And you have to, the other thing I guess I should note, this really is experimental because like, again, I've only done 3 of these coffee paintings and I notice new things every time I do it. Like right now I'm noticing that probably something I noticed before, but I feel like I need to reiterate it. You have to let it almost completely dry before you add another layer. Otherwise, it just kind of dissolves back into the paper or into the water, I guess. I don't know. I'm not making any sense tonight. That's fine. I'm a little out of practice. Like I said, it's been like 2 weeks since I've done one of these. Hopefully you guys had like a super great holiday. Like I'm trying to think of all the different things I did. It was so much fun. My younger brother, he lives in Maryland, and but his wife is from Kentucky, so they came out to visit. It's pretty nice. They just had a kid like a year ago, so it was nice to see my niece, and found out my older brother's having another kid, so that's kind of cool. Well, little family moments, but I think that's what Christmas is all about. Spending time with family. I tried to get up to date on some of my other work I do, not art related. That didn't go very well. I'm still very far behind on that kind of stuff, but that's some of my New Year's goals. Most of my New Year's goals have nothing to do with art. It's getting caught up on everything else. Can you approximate how much coffee is used at the end? I guess I could have if I thought about it, because I just poured it. Like I'm not going to use all this coffee. Like this is ridiculous. But coffee's so cheap, I just kind of threw it on there. Um, I want this area to be super dark, so I'm going to go back to my little dark mixture over here and just see if I can get some dark areas through here just by kind of dabbing it. A lot of water in this, but I like doing this with watercolor anyway. Just kind of want this side to just kind of just splatter out, essentially. In fact, there we go. How's that for splattering out? Again, you can't make any mistakes in this. It just adds to the effect. In fact, this big splotch here, I'm going to turn that into like the main. So you can make a big old mess and it does not matter. Except that it takes longer to dry. That kind of sucks. But well, have a good one, Ida. Nice of you to stop by. Hopefully you'll do like another live stream soon. I'll stop in. Those are always fun. I've mentioned Ida's channel before on this show. Like she does art by request. Basically, like if you like cartoon characters or something like that, she'll draw them like while on her live stream, which is awesome. I don't know if I could do that, to be honest. I'd have to go and look up a reference or something. Plus, like I don't know. Like I'm a little bit older, so I don't know all the different cartoons that are out there. I know that if I did that kind of thing, somebody would be requesting some sort of anime or something that I have no idea. I watch a little bit of anime, but not enough to compete. Anyway, that's what you can expect on Ida show. It's really great. And then if any of you and you other guys are out there are artists, let me know. I'll plug your channel. I love that kind of stuff. It's all about supporting each other. I want these ears to be super dark, so I'm gonna keep going over those. Gotta make sure that I don't smear things. So it's already starting to look like a horse, but that is one of the downsides to the copy paintings because it's not very. You don't get a lot of pigment in it. You kind of have to go over areas multiple times. So like this is the nose, so it's also supposed to be super dark, but it'll probably take me a while to get to it. Yeah, have a good one, Ida. So I am super interested in hearing how everybody's holidays were. Like, did you guys have fun? Anybody do anything special? Any traveling? Any family fights? Like juicy gossip? Any of that stuff? I'm sure you guys had an amazing Christmas. Anybody get anything cool for Christmas? Anything art related? I have all my cups very neatly organized over here, by the way, because I run into the habit of sometimes reaching for the wrong glass whenever I go to get a drink, and I don't want to be drinking coffee. I like my bourbon. Oh, there's a New Year's resolution. I'm going to try to become more knowledgeable about wine and start drinking wine more. We'll see how that goes. Like I've got a relative who has a winery and he makes wine. And I've always been fascinated by that process. So I'm going to try to become more knowledgeable on that. Don't want to put my hand in anything. This is going to take a while to clean. There's like coffee splattered everywhere here. So I think more tonal value over here. Again, I'm just going over places that I've already gone several times just to kind of darken it up and make this horse kind of come to life. And some of these splotches and stuff, I'll leave some of these splotches, but other ones I'll kind of smooth out a little bit as I go. Again, that's why I say you can't really make mistakes. The whole idea is that it looks like it's supposed to look like you spilt coffee on a piece of paper and art came out of it. I think if you're going to do a copy painting, you really should take that effort. Like you could do this like a straight up watercolor where it's all precise, all the lines are fine and stuff. But I really do think if you're going to do a copy painting, you should go for the more expressive style and just kind of like let things look like they were accidental, which some of this stuff is. It's just completely random. So nailed it. Ooh, ice skating. That sounds like fun. Oh, the Dr. Pepper machine. Yeah, I saw the picture of that. I think this might be the first time talking in person. Well, not really in person, but talking verbally. That is cool. Like a full blown like Dr. Pepper like vending machine. That is neat. I would love to have something like that. Talk about something you put in your man cave. Of course, Mama Q, you're not a man, but anyway. Yeah, this is Bob Ross. This is one of my Christmas gifts. A happy little notebook. Um, Bob Ross. This is kind of cool. Let me go ahead and mention this real quick. So like it's got little blank pages where you can put sketches in and stuff, but it's also got like little quotes from Bob Ross in it, like play, have fun. I love Bob Ross. He's like my inspiration, by the way. Let your imagination be your guide. You put whatever you want in your world. These are like words of wisdom to live by. So I keep that at my like art station, just to kind of like find inspiration. I love me some Bob Ross. I think it was Thanksgiving, maybe it was like coming up on Christmas, but they had like a Bob Ross marathon here on YouTube. I just had that playing in the background. I love it. That was a dad gift. Can't you tell? With my dad in here talking about it. But I love it. I love little things like that. Get kind of this. I think I am going to come back with like some finer brushes and kind of clean up that nose a little bit later on. But right now I'm still working on just getting the basics in there. Again, just going over things I've already done just to kind of get them to dry darker and kind of cover that in. But this is fun. This is my jam here, like taking like a mess and trying to create art out of it. I feel like I keep coming back to that, not necessarily as a style, but just as a way I like to be creating art. Um, I want to start with like a blank page, make a big old mess, and then try to find some order in it. Put in the she shed. I don't have a she shed. But yeah, I like art where it's very expressive and you're just creating big old messes and then I feel like that's accessible. So like anybody can create a mess and kind of like just use I can never pronounce it right, but the pareidolia, whatever that term is where you see patterns and shapes and things. I feel like everybody does that naturally anyway. Like you find faces and clouds and things like that. So like whenever I approach art, I do approach it from that standpoint. How can I make a mess and then try to find something in it? Now I did start kind of like with the guidelines. So this is like ordered chaos, I guess. It's not complete chaos, but you get the idea at least. And then as things start to dry, you can kind of like smooth out some of these areas. So like kind of round that off a little bit, that cheek. So to me, it's starting to look like a horse. So I don't know about you guys. I wish I could get darker values in here. I think that's my number one frustration every time I go to do a copy paint. It's like, man, I want that to be darker. How do I get that darker? And the truth is, it's just patience, which is something that there's a New Year's resolution. I would like, I always start my New Year's resolutions like this. All right, let's see if I can do this. I want to be the type of person who blank, right? So that's how I start my New Year's resolution. So in this case, I want more patience. So I would say something like, I want to be the type of person who is more patient or something of that nature. It's kind of like an affirmation, if you're familiar with those, but affirmations are kind of presented in the present tense as if like you've already achieved that goal, which I kind of get, but I always find that disingenuous. So like, I don't think that I'm not a big fan of affirmations just from that standpoint. It feels like delusional, like you are not the type of person who um, is a patient person. So in my mind, I can't do the affirmation thing just because I feel like I'm lying to myself. So instead, I always word it as if well, it's definitely a goal, but I always word it as like it's a goal that I'm working towards in the sense of I want to be the type of person who is like that person who has already met that goal because people know these role models that you look up to. So like um, I know patient people, like people who can't really um, be kind of like be phased or whatever. They're already like nothing really bothers them. They're just super patient people. So I already know what that looks like. And then I look at that and I'm like, well, I'm not that. I would like to be that. So that's how I phrase it. I'm like, I want to be the type of person who is more patient with their art, takes the time to actually create something that's really cool, and isn't just trying to get through it just to call the project done, that sort of thing, if that makes sense. So That's how I accomplish my goals, or at least tackle my goals. Ooh, 5 focus words. I want to know what those 5 focus words are now. Your Christmas didn't go as expected, hater. What happened? That doesn't sound good. Hopefully, nothing too bad. That's one of the downsides to things like Christmas and holidays in general and stuff is like you build up these expectations, and if things don't go well, you're disappointed. I hate that part, that aspect of it. Like you go off and buy a bunch of gifts, and then you give them out, and the person didn't really like them, or whatever the case may be. I'm not saying that's your situation. I'm just saying that like that's one of the downsides to these holidays that are so built up in our minds. Like, oh man, this Christmas is going to be awesome, and then like maybe it disappoints or something. Hey Bill, how's it going? Oh, I missed the part where you said you were sick. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I got myself into an accident. Oh wow. Yeah, I hope you get better soon. Significant blood loss and injuries from a pit. Ouch. Ew. Yeah, I am sorry to hear that. Sorry I didn't see that earlier. Yeah, best wishes for speedy recovery, man. The good news is that you're still here. That sounds like a terrible accident and you made it through it. So, um, there's your uh, there's your good news for the new year. You're still with us, which is good. I wouldn't have wanted to been like hanging out in here and be like, man, whatever happened to that hater guy? So, yeah, get well soon, man. So I really want this area down here to be like super dark. So I'm going to let that dry and then kind of come back and mess with it a little bit later. I'm going to put this to the side and see if I can, this is a little bit more of a fine tip. Let me see if I can get some details in here. So sometimes I come in here and I just kind of grab almost completely dry. I do have some water on this brush, but it doesn't seem to be picking up. So just kind of get that super dry, get some coffee on it, and let's see if this, no, that's not, it might be too dry. There we go, get it wet, and then load it up with some coffee grounds. It's okay to have like some coffee grounds on this. You can not really sand it, but you can kind of come back over it later and just kind of brush off anything that is still kind of powdery or whatever. Just get some dark areas in here, kind of. This isn't perfectly fine point tip of a brush, but it's a little bit more fine than that brush I was using. I think this is probably good to start kind of almost like drawing in details that kind of flesh out the horse. The anatomy of a horse is definitely very interesting. So you have like this kind of face, but then there's like a lot of muscles in the horse's face that you kind of have to represent. Yeah, and hopefully you just I mean, it sounds like you're going to be in recovery for a while, so I don't want to give you any kind of false hope at like how quickly you recover, but best wishes, man. Seriously. I'm gonna have some hair kind of come down pretty far actually. So let me see if I can kind of the cool thing about horses is like their manes just kind of go everywhere. Like there's no logic to it. Horses' hairs do not obey the laws of physics. Maybe I'll develop that a little bit more a little bit later on. But it's okay if the hair is kind of like all over the place and messy. And really, like it's difficult to say when you're done with the coffee painting. It's really how much work you want to put into it. So like you can add as little or as many layers because this already looks like somebody spilled coffee on a piece of paper and it became a horse. Um, I would like to get the tonal values a little bit darker, but it's really up to you. Like when do you consider it a stopping point? To me, like especially like looking at the reference picture, a lot of the tonal values here are much darker. So I want to keep working it until I get to that point, but gotta make sure I don't put my hand in these things. But it's really up to you. Not to belabor Bob Ross, but it's your world. You can make it as complete or as incomplete as you want. Let me put this one to the side and grab this little fine brush up here. But I want to get some really fine details in here. That's I mean, it is really tough. Like you almost have to load up your brush first and then kind of come in and grab um, some particles. Now, another thing that I've seen people do is they kind of pre-mix their coffee beforehand into like different values. So like you can have like a lot of coffee with very little water, and that's going to give you darker values. So they kind of mix this stuff up. I don't do that. I just kind of wing it. I just kind of want to put this like little outline over there to kind of like reinforce that nose. And then I kind of want to do the same up here. Let's see. I don't have the steadiest hand for this business, but just kind of darken that area up just to kind of let you know where the edge of that horse is. And then I'll tinker with that some more. Kind of go back over this part here. I want this. See that little dark value there? That's what I want to be the eye. So maybe I'll just glob something on there and see if it comes out that way. It's okay if your picture has some texture to it, like if I come in here, yeah. If I come in here and this ends up being like super sticky or something, that's all fine. Let's see what I miss. Keywords for 2024: maintenance, fruition, projects, preparation, organization. I love it. That sounds like a great list. Some people they don't try to be more productive or anything at New Year's, and God bless them. I wish I could be that way, but I can't help but feel inspired at New Year. Just the promise of a new year. It's a great resetting point. It's easy to just like let go of all the things that didn't work in the previous year and just say, no, I'm done with that. I'm going to move on. That's the way I feel about New Year's. Again, not everybody's into that. I get it, but for me, I'm like, man, what a great opportunity just to reset. And it's mostly symbolic. There's nothing special about another pass around the sun, in the greater scheme of things. But as far as like symbolic, is that a word? Symbological? I'm making up words here. Um, as far as like just for your peace of mind and your mental well-being, it's a great resetting point. Because my birthday is so close to New Year's, I kind of treat my birthday that way as well. My birthday's in December, so a lot of the things that people do at New Year's, I already did. So like my birthday, I sit back with a glass of bourbon and I think about life and I think about like, well, what could I have done better this year? What could I have done worse? As far as like things you could have done worse, there's always things you could have done worse. So you take the chance to count your blessings and happy that you didn't get in a car accident and that you did get a chance to live another year, things like that. There's always something to be blessed about, something to count your blessings on. I like how darker these values are here. Oh, is this Folgers or MJ? This is some generic thing. I think I picked this up at like a dollar store or something. It really doesn't even have like a name brand to it. It just says medium roast instant coffee. Like you could use whatever kind of coffee. I've done, like I said, I've done three of these, and I think they were all. I've got some. Like my stream is kind of froze up. Oh no. So I'm typing into the chat. Sorry if the stream freezes up. So yeah, I've been having some issues with the internet over the holidays. So if it does kind of like freeze up on you and stuff, hopefully it'll come back and and things will be fine. So you guys let me know if it does come back. I'm just going to keep on working here. And maybe that other people are like in the house watching their own YouTubes or something. But hopefully that recovers and we'll see. Or maybe my internet went out totally. I don't know. I'll just assume that you guys are still watching and continue on. Because I am recording this. You can watch it later. Yay, I'm back. Sweet. Hopefully there's not too much. Yeah, okay. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know if that's probably on my end. I mentioned when it wasn't working that like I've been kind of having spotty internet. So I do apologize about that, but you know, that's how these things go. It is being recorded, so hopefully you guys can still watch later on or something like that. So you can event. I wanted. I'm glad that I'm back because I wanted to mention this part. Like as you can see, I am able to get darker values in here eventually. It's just that you have to like use so little water, and you end up going over the same things multiple times. This part here is like some kind of some hair that's fallen behind the horse's neck. Yeah, see, sucking up my internet there. But anyway, get some hairs going behind the head here. I think there's like these are like a little bit lighter. That's why I wanted to use a slightly different brush and different amount of water. Of course, because there's not like a lot of transition here, I need to really get the bulk up this area behind. So I am glad to hear that some of you guys have some good New Year's resolutions because I'm really big into them myself. Like I said at the start of the show, this whole channel is the result of a New Year's resolution, and you know I'm as surprised as anybody that I stuck with it and that things are going pretty well. You know, like there's always room for improvement in my art itself, which you know is arguably still kind of sophomoric. I think that's a word. But as far as like just sticking to it and having fun with it, I'm all about that. I'm having a good time. And you know, I don't say it enough, but I really do appreciate you guys watching as well. I know that you know, I don't have like a lot of subscribers, but you know, there's a couple of people like, you know, Kid and Rome and Bill and Because I Can and you know, you guys come in pretty regularly and stuff like that. That's super inspiring to me. So like anytime I don't feel like doing like a live stream for whatever reason, like you know, I have the same problems as everybody else, lack of motivation. I'm pretty lazy, things like that. Um, anytime that part of it really worked out because that was one of my goals. So like last year, I really wanted to start the channel mostly to have somebody hold me accountable. And I can definitely, maybe I'll put that in my review video. But that is like, I should write a paper about that. So many times I'm like, man, I just don't feel like I'm not into it. I don't feel like doing a live stream tonight. Um, But then I remember, well, there's people who kind of look forward to those live streams and stuff, and I don't want to let them down. And then I come in and I have such a great time, you know. That kind of stuff is super important, I think. To like have others hold you accountable to your goals and stuff so that you have a good reason. Yeah, it looks like it went out again. Oh, when I come back, hopefully like some of this wisdom I'm dropping on you guys holds up. I'm sorry about the internet issues. It's probably because it's the holidays. Hopefully it'll come back eventually. It does look like it's kind of like still running. It's just kind of janky. I don't know. You've been under your parents' care for nearly 10 years since they brought me home from the hospital. Huh. Are you saying that you're 10 years old? Because that's kind of cool. Uh like um I think you expressed that you do have an interest in art, or maybe not. I don't know, but like are you an artist? Are you into that kind of stuff? Sorry about the internet issues. Like I think I mentioned that earlier. But these things happen. You guys have been around enough live streams. I do think that this year I'm going to do more standalone videos, not live streams. It's just tough for me because like I never really know what to talk about in those, which is weird. Like I'll spend forever talking during these live streams, but then when I go to do a like a standalone video or something that's not a live stream, I have no idea what to talk about. That's one of the other things that I rely on you guys to talk about, or rely on you guys for, is things to talk about. There you go. It's just so hard to talk anyway because of all the drinking. I don't know if I'm happy with that nose, but I'll keep working on it. No, you're not 10. I didn't think you were 10. I'm just saying, you said that you've been under your parents' care ever since they brought you home 10 years ago. So I was like, well, maybe he is 10 years old. I don't know. I didn't think you were. I'm like, man, if there's a 10-year-old watching my stream, I better clean up some of my language. Every now and then I say a bad word. Read that again. Um, I have been under my parents' care for nearly 10 days. Sorry. Oh, yeah, I totally misread that. 10 days, not 10 years. I'm so sorry. I do drink. I was just checking to see if you're paying attention. Yeah, there's a big difference between 10 days and 10 years. Whoopsie. Well, I do make mistakes a lot on this show. So hopefully you guys don't hold that against me. Man, that's some good bourbon too. Yeah, so I'm actually 10 years old. I haven't learned how to read yet. That's my New Year's resolution is reading comprehension. I'm going to work on that and I'm going to get better at it. And you guys will see, I will be the best reader you've ever seen in your entire lives. Like, I'm going to go off, I'm going to study like Shakespeare and stuff and get back with you guys because I'll just fully understand it because I read it so well. I'm not doing very good at covering up my mistake, am I? Let's see. Anywho, I think this area through here needs to be darker. The other thing is like when you do get to some like these dry areas and stuff, because it is sticky, it's kind of like weird. So that's different than watercolor. I should mention that. Yeah, Ernie Purnell. That's my dad, by the way, in case somebody, I've mentioned it before, so I think some of you guys already know. He likes to watch my shows. He likes to watch them so that he can like judge me. Get some hair going back here for the mane. I've never been really good at just making these like random streaks, but you kind of have to for like horses' manes. Oh, I should probably mention for those that are new to my show, like probably most of you guys have been in here quite a bit. But like for those who haven't been on my streams all that often, first, make sure you give it a like and subscribe, right? Let me plug that in. Um, I'm so awesome. You definitely want to subscribe to this so that you can get more of my like reading comprehension errors and lack of complete skill and really like self-awareness. Like I have no idea what I'm doing at most moments of the day. So that's all the fun stuff that you get when you subscribe to my show. But also, I did want to mention for you new people, I do live in Lexington, Kentucky, which is like the horse capital of the world. So I have a deep appreciation for horses. So I do quite a few pieces of art related to horses just because people around here really like horses so much. I don't do as much as I'd like to just because I always find that when I do a horse picture, I don't really get a lot of viewers. Like for some reason, YouTube doesn't really respond to that. Like people on YouTube like maybe some of my portraits more or my dog pictures or something like that. So that's usually what I do around here. I do like a lot of animal pet portraits, things like that. Maybe occasional portraits because I do like to do portraits. Um, I, but you know, like I can't just do portraits. I do mostly pet pictures, which are portraits too, pet portraits. But when I say portraits, I mean people portraits. Anywho, um, but I do like doing horses as well. And you know, whenever I'm bored or left to my own devices, I like the shape of horses. I like the musculature and the anatomy of horses. These are things that I enjoy painting. And again, people around here really like horses. So I do a lot of them, but I don't do a ton of them. Yeah, yeah, that's my dad. You ever get to my house, you're not far. That's right. Yeah, you recently moved to Kentucky, didn't you? Yeah, Rome. I was going to ask you, do you want a pet portrait of Rome? I would, you know, I'd be honored to do that picture for you. Just my email is on the about page. Make sure you reach out because like I was going to ask you about that anyway. For those of you who don't know, Rome's pet recently passed away. It kind of sucks. So like if you guys want to send him some you know, just like words of like I don't know. It always sucks when a pet passes away, and there's really nothing to say. But if you guys wanted to like try to say something better than I can. But yeah, Rome, I would love to do your pet. I would consider that an honor. So if you want to reach out to me by email, consider that done, man. I've mentioned before, that's actually what I would love to do, just as far as like art goes. I would love to do people's pets when they pass away, you know, just as like a nice little memorial sort of thing. I think that's actually one of my goals for 2020. Jesus, it's 2024 already. That's one of my goals for this year is to kind of like formalize that maybe like maybe set up a website where people can do like requests and kind of like kind of make that a little more of a thing, I guess, instead of just sitting here on YouTube talking to like I don't know like the small handful of people that are in here about it. I should really like just kind of buckle down and make that like a real goal and kind of treat that more as like something that I'm actively trying to do instead of just something I'm talking about. So yeah, there's a nice little resolution, and we'll try to do more with pet portraits this year. Yeah, no worries, man. Just send me an email with a like the picture that you like of like I can go and find pictures too. So like if you don't want to even go that route, just let me know. But uh, you know, like a picture that really speaks to you, something, you know, a memory or something like that. I have three paint quarter horses. Oh, nice. And a Tennessee Walker. Oh, Montana. Yeah. So that's the other big area of the United States that's really into horses, Montana. I haven't had a chance to go out there myself, but a lot of my horse friends have, and they just love it out there. Obviously, I love the Rocky Mountains as a whole. I just haven't been to Montana yet myself. But yeah, Montana is the other horse area. Well, there's a couple places actually. Lexington calls itself the horse capital of the world, but they actually, that's like kind of a marketing thing. There's also other areas that are really big into horses. Like, um, I know that there's some dispute over who actually is the horse capital of the world. I think Wellington, Florida, or maybe it's Ocala. One of those two kind of fights for that title. But if you ever go to Lexington, first off, we're in the middle of Kentucky, so it's like central Kentucky, and there's horse racing, there's horse sports like like jumping and dressage and all of those horse sports that you see at the Olympics. That's really big around here. Show jumping, cross country eventing. That's another big one. But that's really big around here. People are really into that kind of stuff. And then basically, if you leave the actual city limits, it's horse farms everywhere. So like I could go to like I don't know dozens of horse farms. Just hop in my car, drive 5 minutes down the road. There's dozens of horse farms around here. Uh, Not everybody I know owns a horse. I don't own a horse myself. Basically, I can't afford the vet bills, but I would love to own a horse. But a lot of my friends do, and that's one of the reasons they moved to Kentucky is just so that they have like some land and stuff to raise horses and be around people that love horses and stuff. So it's really big around here. But my understanding is it's just as big in Montana as well. Those big skies. Get more of a chest going here, by the way. That's kind of what I'm working on. I think I might just come back like after it's dried a bit and just kind of like really get this dark, kind of make this almost as dark as this area here, which is still pulled. And when this dries, I'm kind of curious how that's going to look. I think it's going to look awesome. But hopefully this is looking like a horse to you guys. To me, it kind of is. There's like some areas that, yeah, so I do think I'm having some severe trouble with my internet here. I may have to call this early. Not a good way to start the year off. Oh, it looks like one. Nice. You may have showed me a picture of your horses at one point. I don't recall. Um, I know there were a couple of people in Discord that showed me some of their horses. What kind of horse is Juan? Yeah, I mean, as long as the internet issues aren't annoying you guys, I'll keep going because it is recording it. So like, I'll be able to like, make a short out of it and things like that. You guys will definitely get to see the finished product. Plus, I'm having fun. I like talking to you guys. I miss you guys. I miss you guys a lot, actually. Like I said, it's been, I went back and looked because I didn't realize it had been that long. I just got so busy during the holidays. It's been like 2 weeks since I've done a live stream, and I usually do two a week. So for somebody who's used to doing two a week to not have any, I miss you guys. This is nice. Rekindling friendships with people I haven't seen in a while. I like it. It's a great way to start the new year. They say Christmas is all about family. Well, New Year's is all about old friends. That's the way I look at it. I don't know. I just made that up, but it sounds good, doesn't it? New Year's is all about old friends. I'm going to start a like a database of like Jeremyisms, like random shit that I say, because I'm sure there's like some doozies in there, just things I make up on the fly. I'm not I'm not a natural public speaker, so I think my friend will really like this first picture. But the way this worked out is I was hanging out with some friends over the holidays, just getting together for lunch, and one of them didn't really get a promotion. They still had the same job title, but like an office opened up at where they work, and they have like all of these blank walls that they kind of like want to decorate. And the first thing that they thought of was like this horse picture I made for another friend of mine, like way back when in coffee. And they thought that was so cool that they wanted. They work at like a horse organization anyway, so it totally makes sense. But for their wall, they wanted a horse drawn, painted in coffee by me. And when somebody wants something like that, all I feel is honored, and I want to make sure that they get what they want. Hey, Pugs Art. Pugs Art is another artist, kind of like Ida. Maybe a little bit different, but they have a channel as well. So, like, if you guys get bored and you just want to check out other artists on YouTube, I find that we're kind of like in this little community of people who kind of started channels in like 2012, 20, not 2012, 2023. And it's kind of a cool community of just people who have YouTube channels, do art for fun and stuff like that. So, like, whenever one of them comes in here, I want to like call your attention to them. Pugs Art is another one of them. I've checked. I've subscribed to Pugs Art, so like you don't have to subscribe, but if you're bored and you just want to check out other artists on YouTube, check out the ones that I watch because they're super cool. I mean, if you want to go watch Bob Ross, you can go watch Bob Ross, but why would you want to go watch Bob Ross when you can watch the people I watch? Yeah, Pugs Art is great. Let's see. If you've gone for more than 3 weeks because the care will be on your doorstep. Oh, well, I don't mind any of you guys coming to visit, but give me a heads up so that I can like, put the dogs away or something. But no, I mean, if any of you guys are in the Lexington area, definitely. So my email address is on the about page, so like, feel free to reach out by email. But just like, give me a heads up and stuff. I'll meet you for a beer, or like if you're a kid or something. Probably don't want to meet up with you, but like maybe I'll meet you at a library or something. But yeah, I don't. If you're in my area, let me know. If you're in my area, I will give you a horse picture. If you're a kid and you're in town with your parents and you guys want to meet, there you go. That's what I mean. I didn't know so many young people would be watching my show. I'm of a certain age myself, so like it always surprises me. Uh, my niece and nephew really surprised me because they're young adults now, and you would think that like who has time for like their uncle and stuff like that, but it's kind of cool. They invite me to like get-togethers, and they invite me to just hang out with them and stuff like that. So like I'm always appreciative when people invite me to things like that. Bob Prosper. I do. Like a big old fro. That'd be great. For like Halloween at least. That'd be cool. So I think this is getting there. I feel like I'm gonna keep working it. Um, it doesn't look terrible, and it doesn't look as refined as I want it to yet. Like there's some areas that I feel like really need to be darker. I think it just bumped my camera, but like this area here needs to be much darker in value. Unfortunately, I think this is really what's involved in making copy pictures. Like I said, you don't have like a lot of pigment on it. You can't really control the pigment as well as like you can with watercolor. Not that I'm a master at that anyway. So you do end up going back and forth over things that you've already done just to kind of darken it up as things dry. Like as they dry, it seems like the paper kind of like locks in the pigment, and when you come back and add more layers and stuff, they just naturally come out darker. So I think that is really the process involved in these copy pictures. And It just, requires patience, but I think I'll get there. It's a good start. It looks like a horse. I've heard people say that horses are tough to draw and paint anyway, and there's some truth to that, because they do have like these very strange anatomies. It's not like a dog or a cat or something that you're familiar with, um, having hung out with them in your house. Like some people have been around horses a lot, but other people, I need to let this dry so that I can add more layers. But yeah, most people don't have horses, so the uh, the anatomy can be a little bit strange to people who aren't around horses often. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit and then come back to it. I think I want to focus more on this area through here because this does need to be a little bit darker. I want to have the hair kind of coming down from behind the neck. And then I want this to kind of flow down into this. So that's what I'm going to work on. Did you get anything cool from your dad for him? Oh, let's see. During walking, ran across a purple wig. That was out in the woods. You don't pick up a purple. That's a weird story. So let me see if I can tell it right. So we're out walking along a hiking trail, and my dad sees this purple wig, just like laying on the ground, and he goes to kick it, and I tell him like, "Don't kick that." And he's like, "Why not?" I'm like, "Well, there's a fine line between trash and a crime scene. Like to me, it looked like somebody had been murdered out there or something like that. Like you don't want to be messing with that kind of stuff." I'm not doing it justice, but that's exactly what my thought is on that. It was probably just trash or whatever, but like just a wig laying out there for no reason, that's weird. Yeah, you want to be careful not to like involve yourself in something just because you thought it was fun to kick a wig. Yeah, get some hair coming off of that. I think, yeah, it might be a little overworked, but I think it's fine. Let me switch to my finer brush. A jaw that was torn off by a horse? What? Yeah, so like honestly, so I probably spend more time with horses than like the average person, but I don't mess with horses. You know, they can kick sideways. Like you're supposed to like not approach a horse from behind and stuff like that for safety reasons, but even if you're standing next to a horse and stuff, you can still get hurt. You should not take their innocent look for granted. They can still do some damage. They are generally like really sweet animals. Like they don't try to like be mean or whatever, but you know, they are wild creatures and stuff. Even ones that have been domesticated and stuff, you should still be careful around them. And just kind of like just be aware of where the horse is and what the horse is doing at all times. Just often clues while wearing a purple wig. He's talking about his treasure hunt that he had me do, and let me tell you, it was tough enough. Like I don't know if I mentioned this before. I mentioned it somewhere, but yeah, he basically so for 2023 he set up a treasure hunt for me to solve, kind of like a scavenger hunt for those of you that aren't into treasure hunts. And then the prize was like silver coins, and the thing is, I had to solve like 10 different clues that led to like 10 different places and stuff. It was tough. I had a year to do it, which me being a procrastinator is just the right amount. I actually finished it up on New Year's Eve. It was fun though. I told him he needs to do more of those just because it was a lot of fun. Yeah, just want to get some splotches of like darker areas through here. Hopefully that'll dry darker. Um, Dark. probably work out. So I think I need to extend this out a little bit. It seems kind of cut off here on this side. We'll see how that goes. Oh, you're talking about the Halloween thing? Um, yeah, one of his clues was nipples in a bite. Anyway, for those of you who were around for the Halloween one, the ghost that came in, that was actually my mom. I let my folks stay with me, so she was here visiting, and she I was like, I want to play this prank on these people who watch my show. Like, do you mind being a ghost and stuff? And she was up for it, and it was kind of cool. Yeah, it's kind of pulling here. I don't want that. Let me mop that up a little bit. Gotta be a little bit careful. I don't mind it being blotted, but I don't want it to pull like that because that'll dry a little bit strange, I think. Um, let's see. I do want to kind of extend the side here a little bit. Yeah, kind of make it a little bit more round. I don't know if I want it to be that dark. I do kind of want to give a little bit more of a hint of body structure there. I say sometimes, and I actually really do believe it, that art is a lot about passing along information. So I kind of want to pass along the information that, the horse does have legs, that it's not like this disembodied thing that's just kind of floating there. So I'm trying to kind of develop that a little bit more here without losing some of the coolness of just like the splotches and so on. So speaking of splotches, this is really dark here, so let me lighten that up with some water. Let's see if I can I have a paper towel somewhere. See how dark that coffee is? That would taste nasty. Kind of get a bit of a wash going back here so that it's not just all white. I want this horse to kind of be coming out of the page and stuff, but mostly just like on one side. Maybe a little bit over here as well, just to kind of give it a little bit of symmetry, I guess. So he's talking. He never provides context to the things he says. That's one of my frustrations with my dad. Um, it, his one of his clues led to a thing that had to do something with Bitcoin, and the clue was like the first word had nibbles in it or something like that. It seems strange. I don't like some of these things are just bizarre to talk about. But the clue was actually bites, and you were supposed to figure out that there were two nibbles in a bite, and that's how you figured it out. My dad, he's a crazy person. Don't listen to my dad. He's a crazy person. I'm just kidding. I love my dad. He's great. Jeremy would like to invite you and your father to London for a visit. Yeah, that'd be awesome. There's another guy in here from the UK who drops in every now and then. His name is Dave, and I would love to go out to the UK and meet up with some of you guys. That'd be awesome. See, the paper needs to dry because it seems to be pulling there, and that's not good. Unfortunately, I lost a lot of my dark area, but I'll have to come back and fix that later. So it's starting to look like a horse. Starting to look like a horse. I want to see if I can take advantage of some of this dark pulling here and see if I can come back and really get that eye dark. Yeah, that's much darker. I like that. No, not London, Kentucky, the real London. Um, there's people who watch this this channel from all over the world, guys, which is awesome. Um, Ida is from New Zealand. And it was just kind of like I mentioned this before. That's just kind of crazy to me that they celebrate, these holidays in the summer months, going to barbecues and stuff. It's just really cool talking to you guys from like across the world because like I don't know, I've never been there. These things don't cross my mind. It's not like I'm like American Americentric or whatever the term might be. Like it's just doesn't cross my mind that other places in the world, like on the other side of the world, it's like a completely different season. I think that's fascinating. Yeah, that's much better looking eye, I think. I'll have to go back and look at the footage. I do go back and watch my footage just to see like what things I could do better, where I made mistakes and stuff like that. Learn from myself. My friends in Greece wanted to know if I was returning in 2024. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Did they repair the runways? Last time I went through there, it was rough. When did you go through London? You didn't go through London. Are you talking about when you went to Sweden a year ago? Did you have a layover in London? I told you, my dad's a crazy person. Don't listen to him, guys. They shouldn't allow him on the internet. He makes up stories. Yeah, I really like that. See how dark that is? I like that. I get I get super excited when things work out. So now I feel like I can really get dark up here. Let me try that with a bigger brush. Again, this is all experimentation. I don't spend a lot of time doing these coffee paint. This is almost like syrupy right here. Honestly, if you're the least bit interested in art or like doing art yourself or like watercolor, give a coffee painting a try. It's definitely interesting. It's almost like I'm painting with syrup at this point. It's so sticky. You have to add like a little bit of water. It's so interesting because like you want it to be dark, so you want it to be syrupy, but you also want it to be liquidy so that you can actually apply it. So you have to add a little bit of water, which makes it like not as dark. It's just a whole weird kind of balancing act. But yeah, that makes it much darker, which is cool because I really wanted this area up here to be dark. It's so sticky. It's like paint with syrup. Kind of want to paint with syrup now and try it. Returning from Germany in 1974, you're asking if they repaired the runway since 1974. Okay, then. I would assume yes. Yes, they probably repaired the runway since 1974. My dad is senile. I can't get that fine line there of syrupy versus liquid. It's tough. And it looks, that'll have to do. Let me let it dry and then maybe I can try that again. Get this kind of dark. This kind of dark. See if I can kind of force that to be a little bit dark. Mom was with you. She doesn't lie. I believe my mom over you. I'm giving my dad a hard time, but it's fine. I don't want to give the wrong impression. I love my dad, but he's also full of shit. Your kids are eyeing over your paint. Really? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I love doing horses. I think they look cool in there and stuff. I usually get pretty good feedback on the horses and stuff, but like the population at large on YouTube, for some reason, they're just not into my horse pictures. Like, I don't know, maybe I don't use the right keywords or something. It just never seemed to like this particular picture will probably get just like a handful of views or something like that. I just think it's cool that you can paint with coffee. Like it's almost besides the point whether or not the horse looks right. It's just like, hey man, I'm painting with coffee. This is cool. Get some mane coming down here. Some little wisps coming up. I like the energy in this picture. I think that's looking cool. Like it feels like the horse is in motion or like, you know, doing cool stuff. Where's your bourbon? Bourbon's right here. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, so Central Kentucky is horse country and bourbon country. Like this is basically where your bourbon comes from, if it's proper bourbon. So I'm into both. I like me some bourbon. I like me some horses. Riding a horse while drinking bourbon just feels like it's something I need to put on my bucket list. Trying to darken this up while like remember the Ernest commercials. Hey, yeah, Ernest from the uh, Ernest P. Worrell, whatever that was. Like, if you remember that from like the '80s or whatever, he's from Lexington. He passed away, and his burial plot, cemetery plot, whatever you want to call it, is actually here in Lexington. Um, he's a guy who did like Ernest Goes to Camp and those type of movies and stuff like that. I mean, this is like many years ago, sometime during the '80s. I think the last movie he was he was in the Beverly Hillbillies, the movie version. He played Jed Clamp. Jed, I think it's Jed. It's been a while since I've seen any of those movies. But yeah, he's buried here, and he was actually from Lexington. What do you mean, Vern? I think that's it. I don't know. I'm probably getting this catchphrase wrong. Riding a riding riding a horse while drinking bourbon while wearing a purple wig. I mean, it's got to happen. If it's thought of, it has to happen. All right, so I don't know how dark this is gonna dry and stuff, but like I'm trying to get the muscle structure of like the chest in here and stuff, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. I'm a little bit concerned because like it's hard to see on camera, but there is like a dent in the paper from just paper warps when you use watercolor and stuff like that. So I have to be careful through here. I might have to do this later, just because there is a dent here. So anything I apply that's really dark and like that has like a lot of water, it's just going to pull there. So I have to come back to that later, unfortunately. But that's okay. I feel like I can get some more details going over here, maybe. Just kind of like blot in some stuff to represent the top of the leg. And then I don't want it to be super dark, but let me try to stain in kind of like where the legs might be going in the back. This one here can maybe be a little bit bigger. Again, this is like super light. I don't want to like really change it too much from the droplets that are kind of on here. It's kind of, honestly, it looks pretty good for my like. I'm trying to think, compare this to like other horse paintings I've done. And hey, thanks, Ben. Appreciate it. Beautifully drawn. How are we doing on time? I sometimes lose track of time. Oh, we're only like an hour and 30 minutes. I'll keep working on it. Seems like the internet's kind of become stable now. Like that was messing up a little bit earlier. Yeah, I'm back to the whole New Year's thing. I'm kind of super excited about it. I think this is going to be the year, like famous last words, right? That's what everybody thinks on New Year's Day. New Year's time period. I'm not that drunk. I know that New Year's Day was the other day. Um, but yeah, I think this is going to be a good year. Last year was all right. Um, there's some things I would change, and that's kind of what a whole New Year's resolution's about. Like what would you change from last year? There's a few things I would change, but really I can't complain. I've been blessed, like I'm pretty happy with life in general. There are some things that I would change, like like little things, like not one of my dogs, but one of my parents' dogs passed away this past year. Obviously, I would change that if I could. But those are things that are outside of your control. As far as things within your control, I can't complain. So like my New Year's resolution, I guess, would be like just more of that, more prosperity, more of the good things. I mean, we'll have to see. Like this year, there's a lot of ways that 2024 can go wrong. But we'll see what happens. A lot of world events going on this year, I'm sure. They like we are, the world is caught up in some strife. I'm not diminishing all of that by trying to be on the positive side. I'm just saying that like there's a lot of good in the world too. It doesn't have to all be bad. I think there's a little bit of dark areas through here. It does look like I'm going back and forth over stuff that I've already done, but that's just unfortunately how coffee works, when you paint with coffee. It's just the way of it. I kind of want some more cool effects, so like I'm gonna get kind of crazy with this for a moment. It doesn't look messy enough, so I'm gonna get more of that like kind of vibrant energy going here. Let's see if I can kind of like direct some of these splotches. Not enough water. There we go. Yeah. I want some splotches over here just because like I feel like the horse is kind of coming in from the side a little bit. Yeah. I mean, the world can always be better. Like it's oh, by the way, I'm creating these like little dots here and stuff with by kind of like just flicking that's a trick that you probably see in like most watercolor pictures. That works really well with coffee because the whole idea is like it's supposed to represent like you spilled your coffee and it became a horse. That's the kind of narrative here. So you want to add these like little cool effects and stuff where it just looks random. In fact, let me try a bigger brush. This is getting the kind of splotches I want. See if this does it. Oh, go with my big brush here. Get rid of some of that. Yeah, I'm not here to say like I don't have any answers on how the world can get better. I just know that it can, and also it doesn't completely suck anyway. Like, now, if I lived in some of these areas of the world that were like, heavily affected and stuff, I'd probably have a different story to tell. But I do believe that like, oh, there you go. I do believe that humanity as a whole and stuff is good and that we can bounce back from like whatever sort of mishaps and stuff we've created for ourselves. It probably requires a certain will that most people don't have that may not be there at the present. But I do think that like, maybe when we look back at 2024, it'll be a good story. That's what I'm hoping for. Anyway, it's just my naive way of looking at the world. Let me kind of hint at like a tail coming off here. I don't want to like get crazy with like actually painting that tail, but I think I can hint at it a little bit, maybe like a little bit darker. Like I don't want to add like a lot of detail or something, but just kind of like give the information that this horse does have a tail, that it's not a horse like a tailless horse. I do need some more bourbon. I'm running out. You know, at the end of the show, so like I have this like glass here where I've been like thinning out my coffee. At the end of this, I'm gonna take bets on like whether or not I should drink that. Because theoretically, it is edible. Like I have accidentally drank my watercolor water, so it can't be worse than that. This kind of looks cool. Yeah, just like a little hint of a tail, I think. All right. Oh, have a good one, Hater. By the way, I remember this from Ida's stream. He goes by Hater. The Syed is like honorific or something like that. I'm not really sure, but the Hater is his name. Hader. I might be pronouncing that wrong, and if I am, I'm apologizing. But yeah, just throw that out there. That's why I keep calling him Hater. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it. It sounds like I'm saying hater, like hate her, and that's not what I'm going for. I'm just trying to like call him by his name. Darken that up because that's like the underbelly of the horse, and then kind of flows into a bit of an abstract. You have to use your imagination on this picture, because like not everything's going to be completely spelled out to you. Hey MJ, thank you. I think my friend will be happy with this. Again, probably not my best work, but it does kind of look like a horse. There's some energy to it. There's things going on. I'm happy with all of that. Just kind of swash this down. At this point, I'm kind of just kind of I've got the main horse in there. I'm just kind of tying up loose ends. There's probably some. There's just there's just coffee everywhere. Like every time I put my hand down, I'm putting in some coffee. There's probably some fixes and details and stuff. I really want some areas to be darker. Like I want this area to be darker through here, but I have to wait until kind of, well, no, let me try to use this syrupy stuff here. I left the palette in the picture. Like I don't always do that with my watercolor pictures and stuff like that, but I want you to see that it really is just the powdered coffee. And I keep going, but see, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but there's this edge where it's kind of become this syrup stuff. So notice I'm not dipping into the dry powder. I put way too much on here, obviously, but I'm kind of pulling from this like syrupy mess here. So that's really the secret, especially when you're going for like darker areas. So like the syrupy stuff, it's hard to work with because it's basically dried syrup. But if I can get a liquid form of that, notice how like it just comes out darker, and that's good for like adding like more value. Um, I mean, it's really hard to explain in course or something like that. You kind of want this dark area. Yeah, I think you know. First off, they're very forgiving, my friend. So like, I used to work with this person, and they were actually my supervisor, and I used to mess up a lot, and they forgave me for that. So uh, I'm pretty sure that they'll forgive me for making a bad horse if it turns out that way. But I think it's fine. I mean, it's a fine enough horse. I think this area here. We'll try. I don't know. It doesn't look perfect, but that's okay. I'm happy enough with it. Yeah, I think this is looking pretty good. I do think I'm going to wrap this up soon. I know it's kind of a shorter one, but I don't want to overwork it, and I do kind of want some things to dry and kind of like come back and look at it later. But I did want to mention, so like with a coffee painting, it is, you kind of want to make sure that it honors the medium, which is coffee in this case. So you kind of want to make sure that it does kind of honor the medium of coffee. So you don't want to overwork it, and you don't want to introduce like too many other elements. So like if you sometimes when I'm doing watercolor, I'll come back with colored pencils and clean up some stuff later and stuff like that. I think all that's fine for watercolor because it's just watercolor. But it's really meant to be all copy. That said, I think it's fine to add like, you know, some highlights and stuff like that. And this is what I always do with my coffee pictures. I've got this like little white gel pen, and unfortunately, what you end up with is like basically stained coffee, and it is kind of like monochromatic, so it's hard to get like those white values back in. So I keep this gel pen for that kind of reason. Let me see if this is dry. Yeah, that's dry enough. So like say I wanted to add some highlights to the horse's eyes, which there are in the reference picture. I don't feel bad using a gel pen for that effect. To just kind of like come back and make little touch-ups. I know that like underneath the eye, there's like a little bit of white area. Bring some of this stuff back in, like here in the main. There's some highlights and stuff. Maybe some highlights back here. I think it's fine to use a gel pen for those kind of highlights. Kind of works pretty well, I think. I may do some more. I just wanted to like mention that. Yeah, I'm not happy with the darkness of that nostril. So this is a point where I say I'm almost done, and then I go back and I reflect upon it. I'm like, no, there needs to be more definition in some of these things. Like, obviously the nose is going to be pretty dark. Again, this is almost like painting with syrup at this point. It's all sticky mess and stuff like that. It makes me wonder if like, it makes me wonder if I can use like other things, like actual syrup to paint with. Like every time I paint a coffee picture, I start thinking about condiments. Like, can you paint with ketchup? Um, Mustard, things like that. Uh, it does make me think of that kind of stuff. But definitely when I'm painting with coffee, I think about syrup, and I wonder like, I wonder if I can get away with that. Which you probably could. I've seen some people work with wine, but you know, wine suffers the same problems as painting with coffee. You're not going to get like a lot of dark values out of it. At least with coffee, by using the instant coffee, you can control the amount of water and kind of get somewhat of a dark value out of it. I don't think you can really do that with wine. You'd probably have to use like grape juice or something like that. But have a good one because again, I am going to wrap this up in maybe like 5 minutes, but give me like 5 minutes just to make some touch-ups and kind of wrap this up. I think this is a pretty good first time out as far as live streams on for the new year. I know there were some internet issues there. I do apologize for that. I mean, I don't know why I'm apologizing. There's really nothing I can do about it. It's just is what it is. Um, but I am enjoying painting. I did a painting yesterday just to get the new year started off right, and between that and this one, I'm pretty happy so far. I think we're off to a great start. Yeah, thank you guys. All right. So yeah, I think I'm going to wrap this up. This is probably good enough. I'll probably do some touch-ups off camera, and I'll post up the finished painting like I usually do on the community tab, just so that you guys can share in the process. But I do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Let's see, I was always the artist in school growing up. I had no. Yeah, that's cool, Rome. Don't forget to send me an email, Rome. I really do want to do your puppy, just memorial and stuff like that. So yeah, so now that this is done, you guys dare me to drink the wash? I mean, it kind of looks like bourbon. It looks like watered down beer. Actually, I'm not going to drink this. I was just mentioning it because like, ugh, so weird. All right. So anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this. Like uh, this isn't nothing new. I think the first time that I started seeing coffee paintings was maybe back in 2010 on the internet and stuff. So it's been out there for a while. Some people spend more time doing coffee paintings than others and stuff like that. So it's not innovative, but it is a lot of fun. So if you guys are interested in doing watercolor pictures, Bear said hi, by the way. If you guys are interested in doing watercolor pictures, I say, hey, have some fun with coffee. Try coffee instead. you know, you get like a really cool picture out of it, and hopefully you guys agree with that. You get some neat effects out of it. It is a little bit different than watercolor, but you learn to get used to it. It's got kind of that like the syrupy texture to it. It's kind of weird, but anyway, it's probably not that different than painting with ink, which is probably something I should try actually. But anyway, that's it for me. When I finish this up, I'll put it up on the community tab. I do appreciate you guys hanging out with me in this new year. It's going to be awesome. 2024 is going to be great, and I hope that it's great for you and yours as well. I know it's just going to be awesome. So like, I'm so excited about it. But yeah, nothing different here. We're going to continue creating really cool art going into 2024. Hopefully you guys like that sort of thing and you want to hang out and continue this journey. They say that to become a master at anything, you have to put like 10,000 hours into it. I went back and I looked at my my videos, and it's nowhere near that. So I haven't spent 10,000 hours yet. So bear with me. Stick with this channel, and we'll get there eventually. But until then, have a great new year. I hope things are great for you guys, and this is going to be a super awesome year. All right, that's it for me. Bye. Have a good one.